What is up, everybody? Welcome to Weliftbig. I am your host, Bria Gabor, personal trainer, video podcast personality, and award-winning performer. My mission is to educate, entertain, and enact a stronger, happier you. Because when we put in the work to achieve habits for lifelong health and self-love, we open ourselves to the amazing opportunities that come with a life well lived. New content coming out weekly, so I need you to get up, fasten your shoes, and lift big.
What is up, everybody? This is Bria with another episode of We Lift Big. And it is finally looking a little bit damp outside. We in Northern California are just getting our first little bits of rain. And let me just say, it is also finally cold. I can finally start bringing out my winter sweaters, and I am excited. We got some nice rainfall going on right now, and so I hope that y'all are nice and cozy in the comfort of wherever you are. And I hope y'all had a beautiful Thanksgiving. I traveled home for 2 days. I was able to spend some good quality time with my family and some friends and celebrate the holiday and just relax for a moment, which I am so terrible at doing in my regular life. And so the holidays are always a good reason for me to just pause and be with myself and be with people that I really love and care about and enjoy company with. And so it was awesome. And today I'm just, getting ready for the week, taking account for everything. And I want to make sure that I get this out into the world for all y'all to listen to, because I've been meaning to do it all week. Here it is. And so again, happy belated Thanksgiving to you all. And one thing that I wanted to talk about this episode is, two things. When I was intending to record this episode earlier in the week, I wanted to talk about how to navigate the holidays in terms of food. Because I know for myself, growing up, and I'm talking with a lot of my clients, we talked about how sometimes when the holidays hit, just good diet intentions tend to go out the window. And we just want to eat all the pumpkin pie and turkey and stuffing. And you know what? That's all good. And even though it's past Thanksgiving, I still wanted to touch bases on this because I think it goes a little bit deeper than just creating a game plan for the holidays. I think that it's worth talking about, okay, how does one have some tangible tactics coming into the holidays, how to stay on track food-wise, but also I think it's important to recognize just the quality of our relationships with food. And so on the tangible side, one of my clients, shout out to Stephanie, for this tip, her thing, what she told me she was going to do, and I'm sure that she did this holiday weekend, since Thanksgiving, you have your Thanksgivings, your Friendsgivings, and just as the holidays progress forward, there's all these different events and things that we attend, and the tip that she gave me was getting a list of all of her favorite things that she enjoys around this time and then splitting it up amongst her outings. And so for her Friendsgiving, she was going to enjoy a few of her favorite Thanksgiving foods. And then with her family, she was going to enjoy a different set of some of her favorite foods. And I just think that is brilliant because there's a million things to love about Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever holidays you are celebrating. There are always just so many options for good food. And I thought it was really brilliant to split those up amongst all the events, because if you are someone who is attending a lot of different events this holiday season, then that's a really good way to go about enjoying all of your favorite things, but not trying to enjoy them all at once and then getting really stuffed and being like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. So I want to shout that out there. I also think that a really good way to navigate this time of year comes down to a bit of perception, and a little bit more on this when I talk about relationships with food. But I know for myself, I sometimes tend to blow my favorite foods out of proportion in that, oh my gosh, like I need to have, I can't think of any food. I'm just going to say turkey for lack of better words. Like I need to have my turkey and cranberry sauce. Like I need it. Like it's so important. And I'm only going to have it this time of the year. And honestly, guys, if you think about it, there's a food like this for every time of the year. For Thanksgiving, it's the pumpkin pie and stuffing. And for Christmas, it's the fudge brownies and the ham. And for Valentine's Day, it's the chocolates. And for St. Patrick's Day, it's the beer. And for summer, it's the martinis. And so if you think about it, like every element of our year has some sort of food that is craveable. And so with that being said, I think that if we want to control and stay on track in terms of our diet, not over promoting foods in our head and just enjoying them as they come. And so really enjoying eating our pumpkin pie or enjoying that ham around Christmas time or that cup of hot chocolate, and not feeling like we need, so much of it because this is the only time I can enjoy it. It's like, no, and if you don't get to enjoy it this year, it's always going to be back next year. And seeing foods that way, just kind of seeing it all as, even though it's not just another day in terms of all other elements, but in terms of food, just seeing it as another food day to be like, you know what, this is an opportunity where I get to enjoy all of my favorite things, but with the same rules that I apply to myself in my daily life, then you will find that it is, at least I find that it is easier to navigate the holiday season, because I'm still choosing to enjoy the things that I want to enjoy, but I'm not making a big deal out of it. I enjoy it in the moment, and then I just keep moving forward. And that's something that I used this year when we had Thanksgiving. I enjoyed my meal. I enjoyed my pie. I didn't make a big deal out of it. And that way I didn't find myself stressing over, oh my God, I ate so much food. It's like I just ate the amount of food that I would usually eat. And it was just a little different and more delicious than what my usual meals would be. So that's another tip. And diving into this also, let's talk about our relationship with food, because around the holidays, there are so many temptations. And I think that the reason those things are temptations is because of how we have framed our relationship with food. And if you are someone who has more of a emotional relationship with food, I'm not here to say whether that's right or that's wrong or whatever it is, because everyone is to interpret that relationship for themselves. But I think just recognizing if we have some sort of emotional relationship with food, it's important to recognize how that relationship affects us. Is it something that gives us anxiety? Like, do we eat to support ourselves emotionally? Do we not eat to support ourselves emotionally or mentally? Do we go for certain things with desperation because it's like, oh, it only comes around this time of year? Just how do we form our relationship with food? How do we form a connection with food? Do we see it as nourishment? Do we see it as fuel? And I think how we perceive our connection to the things that we eat, the easier it is to not fall into temptations. And so I think that that is a good question to ask oneself. Just really sit with yourself and say, you know what is my relationship to food, especially around this time of year? If I perceive food as fuel, except for this holiday season where, I've been working so hard and I'm just stressed out and I just want to indulge because it's all so good and, I need a buffer or whatever it is. Just really sit down with yourself and kind of check, okay, where am I at? Where am I at with my eating? What does it do for me? And when we can get to a point where, like I said, just kind of treat it as you would any other day. Enjoy the food for what it is and enjoy it because it does only come around once or a few times a year, but not blowing it out of proportion or using food as a healer, as something that clouds us, or I can't think of the right words, but I just think it's worth, if you are someone who struggles with this time of year, really kind of look into what food does for you. And when you're able to shift that focus, or at least recognize that a relationship that is not beneficial to you exists with food, that is the first step towards creating a better relationship with food and seeing it as fuel and enjoying it in the moment, seeing it as a element to celebrating within a community, and also switching the focus from food, because as much as the holidays do focus on food, it's also this elements of community. And so Thanksgiving is about being with people that you love and care about and spending time with them that you wouldn't spend time with them otherwise. Christmas for a lot of people is about sharing gifts and, again, being with your family, enjoying time with family, and just really trying to shift your focus from everything that you're eating into the conversations that you're having with others. That is another way to kind of help shift the focus, take away some of that food anxiety, and just really spend time being thankful for the environment that you're in, for the people around you, wherever you're at, shifting those gears. So I know this is a little bit all over the place, but those are some of my thoughts on how to navigate the season. And just to summarize all of it, see these experiences where you're with food as just any other day. Just like you wouldn't necessarily switch things up when there is nothing going on, there's no need for you to suddenly super indulge in things that you're going to feel guilty about later. Just kind of treating everything as it goes, enjoying the foods and the goods in the moment, but not allowing that to shatter any food agreements that you have with yourself, like eating clean and eating well and portioning things out. You can still do that in the holidays, and you can give yourself a little more room to enjoy that brownie that you want, or enjoy that piece of pie, whatever it is, that extra cocktail. Trusting that your body is resilient and will process it all, and that you will stay on track. And if you bounce off track, you will get right back on. And promise that to yourself. Promise yourself, you know what? If I just have a day where I just enjoy myself and eat whatever I want, the next day or in the next few days, like when I'm off that family vacation, like I'm just going to get back on track. And just do it. Don't overthink about it. Just get back on track and keep going forward. It's the consistency that creates the positive result. And also just recognizing if the holidays and food is something that gives you anxiety, that is worth looking into your relationship with food and seeing where that's at. Is food more of a comfort? Is it a buffer emotionally? Or do you perceive food as being more of a fuel? Like, what's going to fuel me the most right now? What's going to give me the most energy? What can I do to balance things that I think taste really, really good with things that I know that are going to benefit me and keep me thinking clearly and not keep me up at night and not upset my stomach and things like that. So, elongated summary, but I hope that you find some insight in this. And let's navigate these holidays together. And so I guess the second thing I want to talk about today is, I guess, in a lot of ways, part of this. And so as we spend time with people that we haven't seen in a long time, or as we attend all these different events, how does one focus on avoiding or overcoming peer pressure that is associated with food? And a really good example of this is one of my clients was telling me that she is working on a show and someone came and brought donuts or treats to the theater during rehearsal. And she reached out and was like, how do I navigate situations like this where someone offers me something and I don't know how to say no, or I feel bad for saying no, or worst case scenario, someone gives me a hard time for saying no. And what I have to say about this is that your goals are your goals. They are not anyone else's goals. Everyone, like even if you and a friend or someone is both working on a weight loss goal or a muscle building goal or whatever it is, like that goal is still your goal. And you are the only one who can reach for that. No one else can do that for you. And so with that in mind, it's understanding that you have power to know and to choose things that are going to take you closer to that goal. And this is not a journey that's supposed to be perfect, but it just has to be consistent. And it can waver a little bit as long as you overall stay on track. That is what is going to get you from point A to point B. And so when it comes to peer pressure around food, it's just understanding, like I am refusing this treat because I know that it's going to throw me off course. And on top of that, really recognizing that you are not, like, I think sometimes people, when you offer something and then someone refuses, we immediately tie that to, oh, this person isn't appreciative of something that I'm offering. And it's like, well, no, that's not necessarily the case. They might be extremely appreciative that you are offering this thing, but they just might not want the thing that you are offering. And it's not personal. It's not personal at all. And so when you are being offered something and you decide to refuse it, like give yourself that grace and, recognize that you are appreciative of the fact that someone offered you this food or this treat or whatever it is. And as you know that it's just not going to serve you where you are right now. And making that clear to someone as simply saying like, hey, I really respect that you brought donuts to work today. I really, really appreciate it. I'm just not feeling hungry for a donut, or however that is. Just recognize that by refusing something that someone offered, you are not saying, again, you're not saying that you don't appreciate it. You just don't want to use what that person has offered, but you appreciate that that person is offering something. And then if you are someone who is offering something and you get refused, like, please don't take it personally. It is simply that someone has made a decision that what you're offering is not going to serve them in that moment. And that has nothing to do with the fact that you are serving them. And that you are still appreciated on both sides of this. Everyone is appreciated. Everyone is loved. And it is up to us to decide what is going to serve us and what is not. In summary, don't take things personal. do not feel like you need to please anyone by taking something, and do not be hard on yourself when you do refuse something, because you are working towards your goal and you know how much that goal means to you. And that's another thing, is when you are working towards something, you will start to really understand how much that goal means to you based on your ability, or not even based on your ability, but your desire to stay on course. Because temptation is everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. And so recognizing like, oh, like if I cave in easily to peer pressure, like how much am I saying this goal of losing 20 pounds actually means to me? Like that is a solid thing to ask. If I really want to lose that 20 pounds, I'm not going to care if I accidentally, upset someone because I didn't want a slice of their birthday cake. Like, this goal means so much to me that I am willing to say no, and I am willing to push forward, and I am willing to be hungry, and I am willing to go to the gym this many times per week, and I am willing to drink this much water, whether it's comfortable or not. And so we really recognize how important our goals are to us based on our resiliency in these tough situations. Because if you say, oh, this means so much to me, like I would do anything in order to get this, but then you're caving for Starbucks coffee left and right, or just you're caving left and right, like really sit with yourself. Like, how much does this goal actually mean to you if you're going to give yourself all these shortcuts and all these little cheat days? And I mean, maybe I'm totally jumping into a different subject here, but in the long run, it's important to recognize where you're at. Like, how much does it mean to you to get through this season with so much good food? What is going to serve you and what is not going to serve you right now? And if you don't want to gain that 5 to 10 pounds during the holidays, then, give yourself grace and stay on track. And recognize like the fact that I'm doing this says how much my goal means to me, and communicating that with people, saying like, hey, you know what? Like I'm really thankful that you're offering me this right now, but I have a goal that really means a lot to me, and I really want to stay dedicated to this goal. And so I'm going to refuse what you have to offer, but please know that I appreciate you and I appreciate your offer, and it is just not going to serve me right now. But I am really thankful that you are here. And hopefully people understand that. And if they don't, then that's on them. You don't have to please them. You don't have to please anybody.